We cannot keep our promises on Medicare. We simply must make the cuts in waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare so that the benefits and the premiums are untouched. We owe it to our seniors. We owe it to our country.
When I hear my friend Dave Camp say you cannot cut money out of Medicare, well, we don't want to cut the good stuff that you point out, or add the prevention. But if we're going to, if what Senator Coburn says, that 1/3 of Medicare doesn't go to patient care, you can't just get up there and say, we don't want to cut anything out of Medicare. We want to cut the bad stuff and keep the good stuff.
How soon they forget. Right there, you just saw in that clip. Yes, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, President Obama, all sitting there. And what are they talking about? The necessity of cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse, not just from the budget, but out of Medicare. Now, the Democrats have been going on this media frenzy, trying to freak the American public out and saying, oh, my God, President Trump and Elon Musk are trying to stop Medicare and cut Veterans Affairs and do all of these nefarious things to the American people that they know will get folks riled up, emotionally triggered, and will cause them to think irrationally. When in truth, the Democrats have openly admitted that all of the fear mongering they've been doing was from nothing. They never even saw or had read what was in the bill yet. And what they found out is that nowhere in the bill is there a slice of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, or veterans benefits. It was a big fat lie. But coming from the same people who at one point saw the necessity of cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. Matter of fact, they championed the idea when it was a Democrat president. But now that it's President Trump, all of a sudden trying to make sure that we get the government on track and that we reduce the deficit, all of a sudden that's a terrible thing. And all of these people's lives are at risk, just like a government shutdown. Now, in the media, we've heard about this government shutdown that has been looming, right? And why has the government shutdown been looming? It's been looming all because the Democrats have been threatening to use it as a way to kind of get their way. It's their form of a pity party. They're going to whine and complain and do everything they can to make life difficult, not just on President Trump, but on the American people. But in case you forgot, these same Democrats that are willing to shut the government down, willing for essential workers to not get paid, for our border security to not get paid, for our military personnel that's out fighting at home and abroad to not get paid, they're willing to do the shutdown now. It's perfectly okay. As a matter of fact, let's take a quick flashback and see how the Democrats, not years and years ago, this was within the last year. Let's look at what the Democrats have said about government shutdowns. Check this clip out.
Republicans are marching America to a painful government shutdown. But we need traditional Republicans to break with MAGA extremists so we can keep the government open.
Republican shutdown will cost 6,306 of her constituents their paychecks.
Put the bill on the floor for an up or down vote so we can end this MAGA Republican nightmare. And if you don't, you own this government shutdown.
And we could put the threat of a shutdown behind us. Our agreement would keep the government open, provide emergency aid for communities battered by hurricanes and other natural disasters.
It's about the harm that House Republicans will do to the American people if the government shuts down.
One Democrat said to me, they feel like they have a mandate from their constituents to shut down the government.
Yes, there are some raising the possibility of shutting down the government in March.
We will use whatever power we have, and fundamentally, we're not going to vote for something that undermines the American people.
To withhold votes, do Democrats have the stomach?
I certainly hope so. I know that I'm not going to vote for their proposal for sure.
Are you prepared to shut down the government, to join Democratic colleagues who want to stand in the way of keeping the government open?
Well, there are simply trying
yes?
to. So yes, look, if we have to take steps.
14 days from now, government shutdown is looming.
If we don't believe that we have a willing partner on the other side, then we need to stay united and not bail out President Trump.
And yet, at the same time, in order for a lot of voters to fully understand what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing, people are unfortunately going to have to feel some of that. And the only way that happens is that the shutdown happens.
If you're enjoying this video and you like the content, do me a solid. Hit that like button. I'll never ask you for a cash app. I'll never ask you for a super chat. But you hitting that like button, that is currency. It helps spread the video around. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. On the Real Politics Podcast, that's what we do. We talk real politics. So once you subscribe, hit that notification bell and select all. That way, you'll be notified when I upload new videos. So you clear as they heard them saying how, government shutdowns are necessary to fight back and how the American people are going to have to feel some pain. See what they're trying to do. They're trying to get the American public to fight on their behalf to keep utilizing our taxpayer dollars as a slush fund. That's essentially what they're doing. They're putting this propaganda out there, freaking everybody out, because they know the deeper the digging goes, the more it's going to be exposed. As a matter of fact, check out this clip from Senator Marshall as he tells what they found as far as in just going through Social Security payments and just how mind-blowing that's been. Check this out.
More hypocrisy from Democrats. That was Senator Chuck Schumer, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, saying you got to cut out the waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, things like Medicare. So why are they fighting Elon Musk? Why are they fighting President Trump? Let's get to a very smart senator who's going to help us solve this mystery. Joining us now from Senate Budget, he's Kansas Senator Roger Marshall. Senator, it's always a pleasure. Wonderful to see you again. What's going on with this hypocrisy?
Well, Liz, it's great to be with you again. And I'll just start out by pointing out to your listeners that last year, Medicare issued about $100 billion of improper payments. Look, President Trump, I'm up here, Republicans are here to save Medicare. We want it to deliver great health care, but we don't want money to be wasted. Maybe if we could take some of that money that we're going to save, maybe we can help more with their prescription drugs. But the hypocrisy is, as you pointed out, once upon a time, the Democrats wanted to go through this waste, fraud, and abuse, but the Republicans are actually the ones that are doing it.
I mean, the Inspector General for Social Security found $72 billion in improper payments from fiscal years 2015 to fiscal 2022. Then it exploded under Joe Biden. We saw a number, $500 billion in improper payments that went out the door under Joe Biden. So that means higher taxes for everybody to pay for that waste, right?
Yeah, and I think that number would actually approach $1 trillion when it's all said and done, $1 trillion of improper payments. But this adds to the size of our deficit. Look, we're spending $2 trillion more than we're taking in. If we could find half of that through waste, fraud, and abuse, and then maybe go on a little bit of a spending diet, maybe we'll work back towards that balanced budget, which is going to help bring interest rates down for Americans.
I got it.
So as you just heard, over $100 billion as far as in improper payments with Social Security, and then close to $500 billion, and Senator Marshall says even closer to $1 trillion in improper payments that went out under President Biden. And so while the Democrats are going crazy about all the shutdown and how Elon Musk wants to take your money, and when they say get your hands off the people's money, I honestly don't believe they're talking about the American people. I think they're talking about themselves, because these folks are freaking out in a manner that only a thief or somebody that knows they're close to getting busted acts like. And behind the scenes, from what I hear, this is all alleged, they say that former Secretary Clinton, she is really panicking because her hands are in so many things. And you got folks out here saying they're not willing to take a dive and take the heat, because there's a lot of investigations happening behind the scenes that the Trump administration is doing that a lot of people aren't aware of. They're not coming out here and putting it all across the media because it's not about the show. They're going in to make things happen, digging up the dirt. And when they finally do present it to the people, I assure you it's going to be a slam dunk situation. Now, with all of that grandstanding and all of that big talk that Chuck Schumer did about not wanting to help Trump and that it's essential that they fight to keep the government, in Democratic control, what they're really upset about is the fact that the Republicans, when they laid out this CR, it is the same exact continuing resolution that the Democrats have voted for twice before, which means the funding of the essential programs is still there. There's been a slight deviation where some monies have been appropriated for defense, and they've reduced the spending by $13 billion. Now, the Democrats want their input on the bill, but the way everybody's looking at it is like, look, y'all had 4 years with y'all input. And as we know, the Democrats consider something to be bipartisan. If one Republican works with a team of Democrats, that's bipartisan. Like that border bill where they say, oh, bipartisan. There was only one Republican, and that was Senator James Lankford from Oklahoma, that Mitch McConnell tapped on the shoulder to go in there and work with Chuck Schumer, Senator Warnock, and some of these other folks. It was him versus a team of Democrats. That's why they came out with a Democrat border bill. There was nothing in that bill that Republicans wanted. They steamrolled him. And the fact that there was one Republican participant allowed them to say bipartisan, but it was anything but. And so here's what the vote really is for. You hear the Democrats saying they're not going to vote for the spending bill. They're not. And technically, they're correct. They're not voting for the spending bill. They're not. What they are voting for is something called cloture. So they got two options. They can vote for the spending bill or they can vote for cloture. And what cloture is CLOTURE. What cloture means, cloture is a way that you can vote on that, and it allows for the next 30 days for amendments to be able to add it to whatever legislation, but it terminates and eliminates debate on the topic. But it does allow for written consideration for amendments on the bill. So in the House Democrats all voted no, because they did not believe that the Republicans were going to be able to unify and even get it out of the House. And you had congressmen like Thomas Massie coming out saying that he was a no vote for sure. And all the Democrats needed was 2 more Republicans to no vote, and it would have stalled out. And that's what they banked on. But this is a different Republican Party. They unified. They joined together like Voltron and voted it out. The Democrats were so ill prepared that they did not have a strategy for when it got voted out. So what happens now, it goes to the Senate. They were not prepared for that. And all the Republican senators are on board with it. And all the Republicans needed was 7 Democrats to side with the Republicans, and it goes through. Well, here was the options they had. They can either vote for it, and then they feel like they're giving Donald Trump a win. Or they can vote no and shut the government down, which will surely be on the Democrats. And you have several of them that are up for re-election. They're up for votes. And so imagine you campaigning in your state after you just voting to shut the government down over a CR, a continuing resolution that you voted for twice, that the Democrats created. This is the same exact CR that the Democrats had laid out, and just slight variations of where some of the appropriations are going, like I say, like to defense, and more has been appropriated towards the border. But other than that, it's the same spending levels. And it just extends us through to September. So then President Trump could put the real legislation through to start hitting the economy hard. But he needs a little bit of time. So the fact that they want to vote down something that they voted for twice before is not a good look. And it shows that they are not serious about helping the country. So they either vote yes or they vote no and the government shuts down. Now, here's where the 5D chess move came in that President Trump played. If they shut it down, that means that the president, being over the executive branch, he has the right to control the levers on what's essential and what gets funded and what does not. So the Democrats can shut it down all they want. It will not stop President Trump and Doge. As a matter of fact, there's no Democrats on the Hill then to be able to counter any of the things that they're doing. And it'll just be wide open for them to go through and cut waste, fraud, and abuse. At least by voting to keep the government open, it keeps Democrats there on Capitol Hill, kind of seeing what's going on and make them feel like they have more control, so to speak, on trying to protect their slush fund. And several Democrats have already been swaying. John Fetterman, he already said he's voting for it. And even though they took that grandstand, and Chuck Schumer said, no. He's changed his tune. Matter of fact, check out what he's came out with and said now, after all of the heat that's been put on the Democrats, as far as if they shut the government down. Check this out.
As Congress acts, the federal government will shut down tomorrow at midnight. I have said many times there are no winners in a government shutdown, but there are certainly victims, the most vulnerable Americans who rely on federal programs to feed their families. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. A shutdown would give Donald Trump and Elon Musk carte blanche to destroy vital government services at a significantly faster rate than they can right now. Under a shutdown, the Trump administration would have full authority to deem whole agencies, programs, and personnel non-essential, furloughing staff with no promise they would ever be rehired. I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country, to minimize the harms to the American people. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
Now, after all of that grandstanding and all of that big talk, literally within 24 hours, they decided, hey, we better not do this. And there's even reports that they had a private meeting on the Hill. All the Senate Democrats got together, the leaders, and they said there was some yelling and shouting going on. People were going crazy on each other, saying that if they shut the government down, this will make the Democrats look horrible, worse than they already look. Look, the training wheels have come off the bike. And we're learning that the Democrats do not know how to ride. They've had training wheels. They've had somebody holding the back of the bike. They've had people holding the handlebars riding next to them. And they still almost drove this country off a cliff. And now they want to have their input. Same thing they did with Zelensky. Now the Democrats want input, even though they could not get a peace deal done. Now they want to have input over Hamas and Israel and how you deal with all of these on-campus anti-Semitic uprising when they couldn't quell it and calm it down for 2 years. Now they want to have input on the budget and on the economy when they couldn't do anything to keep it straight and keep it profitable during their time. Now, you know that with Schumer coming out doing this, it pissed off the progressive left. You know, that AOC side that used to be known as the squad, but they just keep getting voted out and plucked out for their radical left-wing extremist views. Well, the Democrats now have started their infighting again, and the knives are out. As a matter of fact, AOC was on CNN on Jake Tapper's show, and she was asked about how she felt about Senate leadership and the decisions that they've been making, and AOC was not happy. Check this clip out.
Would you, what do you think of the job that Chuck Schumer is doing? Would you ever challenge him, do you think?
I think that what we need right now is a united Senate Democratic caucus that can stand up for this country and not vote for cloture and not vote for this bill. And I think that the strength that we have is in this moment. Reconciliation and all of these, Republicans do not need Democratic votes for that. They need it for this. And so the strength of our leadership in this moment is going to demonstrate the strength of our caucus. And I cannot urge enough how bad of an idea it is to empower and enable Donald Trump and Elon Musk in this moment. It is dangerous and it is reckless.
Well, you notice how she never answered when he asked about whether she was going to challenge Chuck Schumer for his leadership. And the reports are that the Democrats are pushing for AOC to challenge Chuck Schumer for his Senate seat in New York. Now, she probably won't win because Chuck Schumer, regardless, agree with him or not, he's a powerhouse within that party. But times are changing. You know, things are evolving. And boy, if they put AOC at the leadership, that would be a great thing for Republicans because she is so radical and she is such an extremist that maybe if she was in one of those seats, she'd be able to see just how all of that reckless talk that she has. You start implementing those things. And if you think the Democrat Party is like a party of pariahs now, do some of the things that AOC and them are pushing for, and it will definitely become a minority party, and the Republican Party will rule as another party. Maybe it'd be the independents, maybe it's the libertarians that maybe rise up. But as of right now, the Democrat Party is a sinking ship. You might as well call them the Titanic of 2025 because they're going down faster and faster and faster with these cringe videos, the freaking TikToks, and there were 22 senators are saying the same stuff. The way they all just yesterday, 50 members released the same exact X post with the same wording. It is the most inauthentic thing you ever seen. But hey, you know, this is the way they wanted to play ball. President Trump is playing chess while they're playing checkers. And he pushed the Democrat Party into a corner where now they had to, you crap or get off the pot. And it seems like they decided to play ball with President Trump, and that's another W for America. So I just wanted to bring you that information. Hey, remember to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. If you've been watching it this far with me, I really do appreciate you, and I thank you so much. And as always, I'm Brian Maxwell, and I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.